It looks like a tiny hole. What's the combination? I bet those were deer mice. Speakeasy. The dogs will lead the way. I wonder what that means.
Hello there.
Sorry to bother you again, but did those results from the water test come in yet?
There's something here for you from the State Department of Health.
Oh my gosh, not only is the water bad, but it seems like the well may have been contaminated deliberately.
I wouldn't go jumping to conclusions without proof, Ms. Drew. I'm sure there's a far less melodramatic explanation.
I noticed you have a dog.
That's Yogi, who never goes out unless he's on a leash. Park rules.
What can you tell me about the gold that Malone supposedly buried on his property?
As far as I know, it doesn't exist. It's just one of those rumors people want to believe, so they do.
Thanks for all your help.
Always a pleasure.
Hello?
Hey, Sally, it's Nancy.
Nancy, hi. How's it going?
I'm afraid I have some bad news. I had your well water tested, and according to the health department, it contains a very high level of arsenic.
Arsenic? Somebody poisoned my well?
Maybe, maybe not. The health department is running more tests. When you bought the house, did anyone mention a problem with the well?
No. And it doesn't matter. I love that house, and I am going to live in it. If that well's bad, I'll just dig another one. At least I will when I know for sure why bad things keep happening there. You are going to figure that out, right, Nancy?
You bet I am.
I knew I could count on you.
Were you ever told that Mickey Malone supposedly buried a small fortune in gold bullion somewhere on your property and that it has yet to be found?
Is this a joke?
Malone supposedly stole a bunch of gold bars off a train and buried them at Moon Lake. You never heard about that?
No. Could it be true?
Well, if somebody thinks it's true, that may be the reason they're trying to frighten you off your property.
How did you hear about it?
I found the journal of a man named William Akers in a safe in your cellar. He was one of Malone's closest associates. Ever hear of him?
Never.
Where'd all that stuff in your tool shed come from?
It's just junk left behind by previous owners. Came with the house. I've been meaning to take inventory and start pitching stuff, but I didn't. If they ever make procrastination a crime, I'm done for.
In the paperwork that you had to wade through when you bought this property, do you recall ever coming across the name Vivian Whitmore?
No, I sure don't. Who's she?
A close friend of Mickey Malone's, or so it would seem.
Her name wasn't anywhere on the deed. I know that.
Talk to you later.
Thanks again, Nancy.
You find all the birds?
I found some birds, but no matter how quiet I am, I've been scaring other birds away before I can take their picture. What am I doing wrong?
You're wearing those clothes. That's what you're doing wrong. You need to blend in, like me. Go back over to M's tacky tourist trap and get yourself some camouflage gear. Only sensible thing that money grubber carries.
Mickey Malone supposedly buried a bunch of stolen gold bars on his property way back in the 20s. Did you know that?
Really? That's interesting. I don't much care, but it's interesting.
Ever hear of a man named William Akers?
I know an extremely annoying park ranger named Jeff Akers, but I've never heard of any William Akers.
I'm sorry, but finding those birds is harder than I thought it would be. Can you give me any tips?
You gotta look for them. This isn't gonna be any Sunday picnic, you know? And try early in the morning. That's when most of them are singing.
See you in a while.
No hurry.
Nice junior park ranger pen. You must really be on Acres' good side.
To make a long story short, I need some camouflage gear.
Got some right over here. One size fits all. But I'm running kind of low on bait. So if you go out and get me, say a dozen little critters, I'll give you the camos.
You got a deal. So what kind of bait do you need?
Worms, spiders, beetles, grubs. Anything that wriggles on its belly'll do. Just look under stuff. Rocks, logs, dead leaves. Should be able to find 12 in no time.
Do I need some kind of permit?
Things ain't quite that bad around here. Least not yet. Now, if Jeff Acres' daddy was still around, you might get arrested for cruelty to animals or some such nonsense. Joe Acres used to be the deputy sheriff. Real critter lover, that one was.
Joe Acres is Jeff's father?
That's right.
Guess I'll see you later.
I guess you will. Hey, Nancy, how's the bait finding coming along?
Got him right here.
Well, now, you done all right for a city gal. Here you go. Hope whatever you're hiding from won't catch you. How you holding up?
Any word from Tucker, what's his name? He hasn't been by to move that tree yet.
I'll give him another call. But like I said, the man marches to the beat of another drummer. A very slow drummer.
Guess I'll see you later.
Yodelay-hee-hoo!
If you're selling something, hang up right now. I got an air horn in my hand that could deafen a dinosaur, and I'm not afraid to use it.
Oh, no, please. I'm not selling anything. Believe me. Is this Vivian Whitmore?
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You got exactly 5 seconds to state your business.
My name is Nancy Drew. I'm calling from Moon Lake, Pennsylvania. I just wanted to ask you some questions.
Oh, right. The Moon Lake Park Ranger said you might call. But you have to talk fast. An old friend of mine is flying in today from Florida. And when I say old, I mean old, as in 5 years older than I am. Don't bother trying to do the math, sweet stuff. You'll hurt yourself. So, that ranger fella said you found an old picture of me.
It was of you and Mickey Malone. Do you remember him?
Of course I remember him. I remember everything about that time of my life. It was the roaring 20s, for crying out loud. One of the most exciting decades in American history. Just because I've got a few years on most people doesn't mean my brain's turned to tapioca, sweet stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
Mickey and I dated for 5 years. Oh, I knew what he was, and I didn't approve, believe you me. But I was young, and we got along so well, and he was so considerate. He always kept birch beer on tap at that speakeasy of his just for me.
Do you know anything about the safe that's in the cellar of his house at Moon Lake?
You must be talking about the wall safe. That was Willie's. He was a guy who worked for Mickey.
Did all Malone's employees have their own safes?
Not hardly. Mickey treated most of his employees like dirt, but not Willie. He honestly liked Willie, trusted him. And when Willie decided he wanted his own safe, Mickey said, "What the hey?" No one knew the combination, not even Mickey. Mostly because Willie was constantly changing it. He was a little paranoid and superstitious. Well, as I recall, he picked the most unlucky number he could think of and used that for the combination. He called it a reverse jinx.
Unlucky number? Like what?
Oh, like the date that something bad happened, like when the stock market crashed, or when somebody died, or the address of a house that caught fire, or the phone number of the police, that sort of thing.
What can you tell me about Malone's speakeasy?
It was in the basement, right there at Moon Lake. Feds never knew about it, but everybody who was anybody on the East Coast back then, actors, musicians, bankers, politicians, they knew. You weren't big time unless you'd made at least one trip to Moon Lake Mickey's.
That's weird. I'm staying in his old house on Moon Lake, and I haven't seen any sign of a speakeasy.
Course you haven't. You're not supposed to. Only Mickey and Willie knew how to get into the speakeasy from the house. The rest of us had to go in and out the regular way, through the cemetery.
The cemetery?
There was a lock hidden in one of the tombstones in that little cemetery behind the house. You needed a key to unlock it, and when you did, stairs would appear that led to the speakeasy.
Do you have any idea how to get into Malone's speakeasy from the house?
I sure don't. That saloon was built using 2 main ingredients, concrete and secrecy. Mickey always bragged that nobody could get in unless he wanted them in, and I do believe he was right. But I'll tell you what, if you send me that picture of me and Mickey, I'll send you my key.
The key to the tombstone? You still have it?
It's in the bottom of my jewelry box. I've come this close to throwing it out 100 times, but it's so small, and the memories it brings back are so big. Well, I just couldn't, as a joke. Mickey had a tombstone made with the name of this federal agent who had it out for him, inscribed on it. That's the one the key unlocks.
William Akers, the guy you call Willie. He wrote about looking for the gold that Malone had supposedly buried on his property at Moon Lake. Do you know anything about that?
The hole in the floor gold heist. Well, I'll be darned.
So it's true? He did bury gold on his property?
Truth be told, when Mickey told me he was the one who pulled off that heist and that he'd buried 20 gold bars at Moon Lake, I didn't believe him. I thought he was making it up. See, Mickey and I were on the outs by then. I thought he was just trying to entice me to come back. But if he told Willie the same thing, maybe there's something to the story after all.
Do you have any idea where he might have hidden it?
Afraid not. Mickey was so secretive that the men who completed his house at Moon Lake were not only forbidden to talk about the work they'd done, but they were ordered to leave the state for good, or else. But you know, I think he mentioned a map. Yes. He said he was making a treasure map and that... The dogs. Something about those dogs of his.
The dogs will lead the way?
He was always saying that. In fact, I'm pretty sure he had it engraved on his tombstone. Think, Viv, think! He said he was making a treasure map, and that he was also having paintings done of each dog. He made it sound like one thing had something to do with the other, like he was giving me some big important clue. But I just figured he was playing games, trying to lure me back with mystery and intrigue. I told him to buzz off. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Did he say what he was going to do with the paintings?
He said he was going to hang them in the speakeasy, and I'm sure that's precisely what he did.
Can you remember anything about Malone's dogs that might suggest where he hid the gold?
I stayed away from his dogs. They made me nervous, always jumping around, barking at this or that. The only one I liked was... what was his name? Iggy! I liked Iggy because he was nice and quiet. He just lay on the porch all day and didn't make a peep.
It's been fun talking to you.
I'll be suing you.